The blue light of Earth's monitors flickered across Sam Harper's face as he watched the incoming transmission. His fingers tapped nervously on the metal desk. After 20 years in the military, not much made Sam nervous anymore. But this was different. "Play it again," he ordered. The young technician nodded and pressed a button. The strange symbols flashed across the screen once more. They shifted and changed in patterns that seemed almost alive. Scientists had been studying them for 3 days now, and finally they had cracked the code. "It's definitely a language," said Lisa Freeman as she walked into the room. Her lab coat was wrinkled from another all-night session. Dark circles hung under her eyes, but excitement made them shine. "And we know what it says now." Sam turned to face her. "Well, hello, Earth. We are the Vox. We come in peace." Sam's eyebrows rose. "That's it? Sounds like a bad movie." Lisa shook her head. "There's more. They say they've been watching us for decades. They want to meet." The room went quiet. Humanity had wondered about alien life for centuries. Now they had their answer. "When?" Sam asked. "They'll be here in 6 days." The world changed overnight. News of the alien contact spread everywhere. Some people celebrated in the streets, others hid in bunkers. Religious groups claimed it was the end times. Scientists worked day and night to prepare. Sam was called to Washington immediately. As one of the military's top strategists, they needed him to plan for every possibility. The president had formed a first contact team, and Sam was on it. "Major Harper, glad you could join us," said General Wilson as Sam entered the meeting room. Around the table sat the brightest minds in the country: scientists, language experts, military officers, and diplomats. "We need a defense plan," the general continued, "just in case." "With all due respect, sir," a woman's voice cut in, "we shouldn't approach this as a threat right away." Sam turned to see Lisa Freeman sitting across the table. He hadn't expected to see the xenobiologist here. "Dr. Freeman, right?" Sam asked. "We met briefly at the communication center." Lisa nodded. "The Vox have given us no reason to think they're hostile." "Yet," Sam added. "We need both perspectives," the president said, entering the room. Everyone stood. "That's why you're both here. Dr. Freeman to help us understand them. Major Harper to help us survive if things go wrong." 5 days later, the Vox arrived. Their ships appeared suddenly, just beyond the moon. 7 massive vessels, each larger than any city on Earth. The world held its breath. From his seat on the military transport plane, Sam watched the live satellite feed. The ships were beautiful in a strange way. Sleek curves of metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "What do you think they want?" he asked Lisa, who sat beside him reviewing data on her tablet. "Hard to say," she replied without looking up. "But I'm finding inconsistencies in their communications." "What kind of inconsistencies?" Lisa finally looked at him. "Language has patterns. The way the Vox talk about peace doesn't match the rest of their speech patterns. It's like when someone is lying, but in linguistic terms." Sam felt a chill. "You think they're lying about coming in peace?" "I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong." She looked out the window at the clouds below. "I hope I'm wrong." The meeting place was a platform built hastily in international waters. 5 representatives from Earth would meet 5 representatives from the Vox. Sam and Lisa were among the chosen few. As their helicopter landed on the platform, Sam saw the Vox shuttle approaching. It moved silently through the air, defying all known laws of physics. "Ready?" he asked the team. The diplomat nodded. The scientist looked like he might be sick. The UN representative straightened her jacket. Lisa just stared at the approaching shuttle with intense focus. The Vox craft landed without a sound. A door opened in its side. Sam's hand moved closer to his concealed weapon. The aliens emerged. They weren't what anyone expected. They looked almost human. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But their skin was pale blue and seemed to shift slightly, like it wasn't quite solid. Their eyes were large, with no visible pupils. They wore no clothes, but their bodies had no visible features to hide. "Welcome to Earth," the diplomat said, stepping forward. The lead Vox tilted its head. When it spoke, the sound came from everywhere and nowhere at once. "We are pleased to meet you, humans," it said in perfect English. "We have traveled far to find you." The formal greetings continued. The diplomat introduced each member of the human team. When he got to Lisa, Sam noticed her stiffen slightly. "We would like to invite you to our ship," the Vox leader said, "to continue our discussions in comfort." Sam exchanged glances with Lisa. This wasn't part of the plan, but refusing might seem hostile. "We would be honored," the diplomat replied. Before anyone could object, the inside of the Vox ship was even stranger than the outside. The walls seemed alive, pulsing slightly with an inner light. There were no sharp edges anywhere. Everything curved and flowed like water frozen in time. They were led to a large room with a table that grew right out of the floor. The Vox sat, on one side, the humans on the other. As the diplomatic talk continued, Sam watched Lisa. She kept glancing at the small device hidden in her hand, some kind of scanner. Her face grew more concerned with each reading. "Is something wrong?" Sam whispered. "Their biology." She whispered back. "It shows signs of previous contact with human DNA." Sam frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means they've met humans before. Or at least, they've studied us up close. Very close." Before Sam could respond, one of the Vox suddenly stood. It tilted, its head as if listening to something no one else could hear. "We must pause our discussion," it announced. "A matter requires our attention." The Vox left the room, leaving the humans alone. "They're receiving a transmission," Lisa said, looking at her scanner. "Encrypted." "I don't like this," Sam muttered. He touched his earpiece. "Base, do you copy? Anything unusual happening down there?" The voice that replied sounded tense. "Major, we're tracking multiple smaller vessels deploying from the main Vox ships. They're moving into positions around Earth." Sam stood up. "We need to leave now." "What's happening?" the diplomat asked. "I think we're about to find out why Dr. Freeman's linguistic analysis showed they were lying," Sam said. He turned to the others. "The Vox didn't come here for peace talks." As if on cue, the ship shuddered. The Vox returned, but their friendly demeanor had vanished. "You will return to Earth now," the leader stated flatly. "What's going on?" the diplomat demanded. The Vox leader's face changed, its features hardening. "Preparations are complete. You should spend what little time remains with your kind." As they were escorted back to their shuttle, Sam caught Lisa's eye. They both knew what was coming. The Vox had brought hell to Earth, and humanity wasn't ready. 3 days after the meeting on the Vox ship, the world burned. The attack came at dawn, simultaneous strikes on every major city across the globe. No warning, no mercy. Sam Harper woke to the sound of alarms blaring throughout the military base. He had barely slept since returning from the Vox mothership, waiting for what he knew was coming. Now it was here. "Status report," he demanded as he rushed into the command center. Screens around the room showed chaos and destruction. New York, London, Beijing, all under attack. "They hit everything at once, sir," a young officer reported, his face pale. "Their ships appeared out of nowhere. Our defense systems barely had time to respond." "What about the nukes?" Sam asked quietly. "We tried. They have some kind of energy shield. Nothing gets through." Sam stared at the screens. He had prepared for the worst, but this was beyond even his darkest predictions. The Vox weren't just attacking, they were slaughtering. "Sir, we've been ordered to evacuate to the Denver bunker," the officer said. "All remaining government and military leadership are heading there now." "What about civilians?" Sam asked. The officer looked down. "We're doing what we can." Lisa Freeman worked frantically in her lab beneath the Rocky Mountains. The underground facility had been built decades ago to survive nuclear war. Now it was one of humanity's last hopes. She had brought the samples collected from the Vox ship, air, trace biological material, anything she could secretly scan. Now those samples might hold the key to understanding their attackers. "Dr. Freeman," A voice called from the doorway. Sam Harper stood there, still wearing the same uniform from 3 days ago. They need you upstairs for the briefing. Lisa nodded, but didn't stop working. I need more time. I'm close to understanding something about their biology. What have you found? They're not individual beings, not like us. She pointed to the microscope. Their cellular structure allows for a shared consciousness. They're connected somehow, like a hive mind. Sam stepped closer. How does that help us? I don't know yet. But if they all share one mind, maybe there's a way to attack that connection. A loud explosion shook the facility, dust falling from the ceiling. They found us, Sam said. The briefing will have to wait. What do you need to keep working? More samples. And time. Sam nodded grimly. I'll get you the samples. I don't know about the time. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of battles and retreats. Humanity fought back with everything it had, but the Vox weapons were devastating. They released a strange gas that caused people to hallucinate, to turn on each other in fear and paranoia. Entire neighborhoods tore themselves apart without the Vox firing a single shot. From the Denver bunker, Sam coordinated what resistance he could. Conventional tactics failed against the Vox, so he developed new ones: hit-and-run attacks, underground, operations, psychological warfare, anything to slow them down. Lisa barely left her lab. The samples Sam's teams brought back were giving her more pieces of the puzzle. The Vox weren't just invaders, they were harvesters. They feed on fear, she explained to Sam during one of his brief visits. Not physically, but the neural energy produced by extreme emotion seems to power something in their biology. They're farming us, Sam said, the realization hitting him hard. Lisa nodded. Other species too, I think. I've found trace DNA from at least a dozen different life forms in their cellular structure. So they travel from planet to planet, causing terror, feeding on it, then moving on. Exactly. And based on these readings, they've been doing it for thousands of years. Sam leaned against the lab table, his exhaustion finally showing. How do we fight something like that? I don't know yet, but they wouldn't be here if they weren't vulnerable somehow. A month into the invasion, Sam led a small team on a desperate mission. Intelligence had identified a downed Vox scout ship in what remained of Colorado Springs. If they could capture it intact, maybe they could find a weakness. The city was unrecognizable. Buildings lay in ruins. Strange vines grew everywhere, pulsing with an eerie blue light, the same color as the Vox skin. Movement ahead, whispered Kelly Wright, Sam's second in command. 2 o'clock. Sam signaled the team to take cover. Through his scope, he could see 3 Vox moving among the ruins. They seemed to be collecting something from the vines. Hold position, he ordered. Wait until they're gone. The team watched in silence as the Vox completed their harvest. But just as the aliens were leaving, one stopped. It turned, looking directly toward Sam's position. We've been spotted, Kelly hissed. Take it down, Sam ordered. Gunfire erupted. 2 of the Vox fell immediately, their bodies dissolving into blue mist. The third charged toward them with inhuman speed. Sam fired his entire clip into the creature. It stumbled, fell, but continued to crawl toward them, its body leaking blue fluid. It's still alive, Kelly said, aiming her weapon. Wait, Sam ordered. He approached the dying alien carefully. We need information. The Vox looked up at him, its featureless face somehow expressing hatred. When it spoke, the words seemed to come from inside Sam's own head. You cannot win, it said. We brought hell to cleanse this sector. You were meant to be easy prey. Why us? Sam demanded. Why Earth? The creature made a sound like laughter. You are food, nothing more. You've done this before, Sam said. To other worlds, many species, all food. The Vox's body was dissolving now, turning to mist. But you are different. You fight differently. How are we different? The creature seemed to struggle, fighting to stay solid long enough to answer. Your fear. It tastes wrong. There is something else in it. Something dangerous. Those were its last words before It disappeared completely, leaving nothing behind. Sam stood there for a long moment, considering what it had said. Then he turned to his team. "Let's get that ship and get back to base. Dr. Freeman needs to hear about this." In her lab, Lisa made a breakthrough. She had been studying the Vox communications, intercepted by what remained of Earth's satellite network. Most of it was indecipherable, but one word kept appearing. "They're afraid of something," she told Sam when he returned. "Something they call the Void. I think that's why they move from planet to planet. They're running." "Running from what?" Lisa shook her head. "I don't know, but I found something else too." She showed him brain scans of humans exposed to the Vox fear gas. "Look at the neural patterns. Most species would completely shut down under this kind of stimulus. But humans—" "We keep fighting," Sam finished. "Exactly. Something about human consciousness resists their control methods better than other species they've encountered." Sam thought about the dying Vox's words. It said our fear tastes wrong, that there's something dangerous in it. For the first time in weeks, Lisa smiled. Then maybe we've found our weapon. 6 months into the Vox occupation, Earth was barely recognizable. Cities lay in ruins. Strange blue plants grew everywhere, feeding on the fear in the air. Nearly half of humanity was dead or under Vox control, their minds trapped in endless nightmares that fed the invaders. But humans were stubborn. They fought back from hidden bunkers and mountain hideouts. They learned to jam Vox signals. They destroyed the blue plants wherever they found them. It wasn't enough to win, but it was enough to survive. In the Denver facility, now one of the last major human strongholds, Sam Harper studied maps of Vox movements. Each day, the aliens pushed further into human territory. Each day, the resistance grew weaker. "We need a game changer," he told his team. "Something that can turn the tide." Kelly Wright, her face scarred from a recent battle, nodded. "The tech we salvaged from that scout ship is our best bet, if we could just understand how it works." "Dr. Freeman has been working on it," Sam said. "Let's see what she's found." Lisa hadn't slept in days. The Vox technology was like nothing she'd ever seen. It wasn't mechanical or electronic. It was almost alive, responding to thoughts and emotions rather than physical controls. When Sam entered her lab, she barely looked up. "I think I've got something," she said, her voice rough from exhaustion. "Look at this." She showed him a screen filled with strange symbols. "These are Vox communications I've managed to decode. They're sending warnings to their fleet about something called the Void Signs." "Any idea what that means?" Sam asked. "Not exactly, but there's more." She pulled up another screen. "I've been studying ancient human legends, looking for any mention of aliens or invasions. And I found patterns." The screen showed cave paintings, ancient tablets, medieval drawings. All showed similar images, dark shapes with many eyes, and smaller figures running from them. "These appear in every human culture on every continent," Lisa explained. "Always with the same message, beings from the stars fleeing from something darker." Sam stared at the images. "You think these are the Vox, running from these void things? Maybe, but here's where it gets interesting." She pulled up more recent documents. Dr. Alan Cruz, a physicist who worked with us before the invasion, had theories about consciousness affecting reality at the quantum level. "In English, please," Sam said. Lisa smiled tiredly. "He believed that minds, especially minds feeling extreme emotions, could actually change physical reality. Most scientists thought he was crazy." "And you think he was right?" "I think the Vox know he was right. Look at how they harvest fear. What if they're not just feeding on it? What if they're collecting it as a weapon or a shield?" Sam's eyes widened as he understood. "Against whatever is chasing them." Exactly. Dr. Alan Cruz was older than dirt, as he liked to say. His white beard reached his chest, and his hands shook with age, but his mind was still sharp. He had survived the initial invasion by pure luck. He'd been hiking in the mountains when the attacks began. Now he sat in a makeshift lab in the Denver facility, examining the data Lisa had shared. "I was right all those years," he muttered. Consciousness is fundamental, not just an emergent property of the brain. Sam leaned against the wall, arms crossed. How does this help us beat the Vox? The old man looked up, eyes gleaming. The Vox harvest fear because it's a powerful emotion that changes quantum reality. But humans have something special. We can feel multiple emotions at once in complex ways. So while fear might feed them, other emotions might hurt them. Emotions they've never encountered before. Or never in the intensity that humans feel them. Lisa walked in, carrying more data tablets. He's right. I've been testing Vox tissue samples with different emotional signatures. They react differently to human brain patterns than to other species they've conquered. What's different about us? Sam asked. Range, Cruz said simply, and complexity. Most species feel basic emotions: fear, anger, pleasure. But humans? We feel nostalgia, bittersweet, joy, righteous indignation, love mixed with grief. We hold contradictory feelings simultaneously. No other species they've encountered could do that. So we might be able to weaponize our emotions somehow? Sam asked. Lisa nodded. I've been working on a device, a neural amplifier. It could broadcast human emotional states like a radio broadcasts sound waves. Would it hurt them? Based on these tissue samples, it could disrupt their hive-mind connection, maybe even kill them. Sam straightened. How soon can you have a working prototype? 2 weeks, maybe less. Make it 1 week, Sam said. We're running out of time. While Lisa worked on the amplifier, Sam led a mission to recover more Vox technology. They targeted a communications relay the aliens had built in what used to be Boulder. The mission went sideways almost immediately. Vox patrols were everywhere, more than their intelligence had indicated. Sam's team was pinned down in an abandoned mall. We need to abort, Kelly said as plasma fire melted the concrete around them. Not yet. Sam peered around a corner. The relay is right there. If we can plant explosives, we can buy Dr. Freeman the time she needs. It's suicide, Kelly argued. Maybe not. Sam pulled out a small device Lisa had given him before the mission. It was a prototype, untested, but it was their only chance. Cover me. As his team laid down suppressing fire, Sam activated the device. It hummed softly, broadcasting his emotional state. Not fear, but determined hope mixed with fierce protectiveness for his people. The nearest Vox stumbled. Their movements became erratic. One clutched at its head, blue fluid leaking from its eyes. It's working. Sam sprinted toward the relay, planted the explosives, and ran back before the Vox recovered. The explosion lit up the night sky. As they escaped in the confusion, Sam radioed the bunker. Tell Dr. Freeman her prototype works, and tell her to make more. A lot more. Back at the facility, Lisa examined the data from Sam's field test. The effect was temporary, she told him, but it proves the concept. If we can build bigger amplifiers, we might be able to create safe zones. How big can you make them? Sam asked. With enough power? City-sized, maybe. Hope, so long absent, began to stir in Sam's chest. Then we start reclaiming territory. 1 city at a time? There's something else, Lisa said, looking troubled. The Vox communications have changed. They're sending urgent messages to their homeworld. They're calling for reinforcements. Why? They're winning. I don't think it's about us anymore. She showed him a decoded message. Look at this phrase. Void signs present in human consciousness. Level 5 containment protocols initiated. What does that mean? I think, Lisa said slowly, it means we've accidentally confirmed their worst fears. Whatever they're running from, this void thing, they believe it exists within human minds somehow. That's why they're afraid of us? Yes. And Sam? She looked at him, her eyes wide. They're planning to destroy the planet completely. They'd rather sacrifice the harvest than risk whatever they think we might unleash. Sam's brief hope turned cold. How long do we have? 2 weeks, maybe less. Then we'd better work fast. Lisa worked day and night on the neural amplifiers. The prototype Sam had tested showed promise, but they needed something much stronger. Behind her, a timer counted down the days until the Vox would destroy Earth. 13 days left. "We need volunteers," she told Sam during one of their brief meetings. "People willing to test the amplifiers at full power." Sam nodded grimly. "I'll be first in line." "It could be dangerous," Lisa warned. "The amplifiers connect directly to your emotional centers. We don't know what that kind of neural load might do to a human brain. Better than what the Vox will do to all of us." By evening, Sam had assembled 20 volunteers, soldiers mostly, but also civilians who had lost everything to the invaders. People with nothing left to lose and a burning desire to strike back. "The devices will amplify whatever emotions you're feeling," Lisa explained to the group. "Based on our tests, the Vox are most vulnerable to complex emotional states they've never encountered before." "Like what?" asked one soldier. "Hope mixed with determination. Love combined with protective rage. The kind of emotional complexity that seems unique to humans." Dr. Cruz stepped forward, his aged hands holding one of the finished amplifiers. It was a sleek metal band that would fit around the head. "This isn't just about broadcasting emotions," he said. "It's about changing reality at the quantum level. Your feelings, amplified by this device, will create ripples in the fabric of existence itself." Some of the volunteers looked skeptical, but Sam had seen the effects firsthand. "It works," he assured them. "I've seen Vox warriors completely disabled by a prototype much weaker than these." Lisa handed out the amplifiers. "We'll start testing tomorrow. For now, familiarize yourselves with them. They respond to your thoughts, so they'll feel strange at first." As the volunteers left, Sam lingered behind. "Will it be enough?" he asked quietly. Lisa looked at the timer. "It has to be. 10 days left." The first full power test exceeded all expectations. A volunteer named Jack Miller activated his amplifier while focusing on his love for his lost family. The wave of emotion was so powerful it knocked out Vox sensors 5 miles away. "It's working," Lisa told Sam excitedly. "The emotional broadcast disrupts their hive mind connection. How large an area can we affect?" "With one amplifier at full power, about a mile radius. But if we link multiple amplifiers together, we could clear entire cities," Sam finished. The resistance moved quickly. Teams equipped with amplifiers began reclaiming small territories, pushing back the Vox for the first time since the invasion began. Each success brought more hope, and that hope made the amplifiers even more effective. But the Vox adapted. They began destroying entire neighborhoods rather than lose them to the humans. The death toll mounted. "They're getting desperate," Sam told his officers during a strategy meeting. "Which means we're hurting them. But we're still losing more than we're saving," Kelly Wright pointed out. The right side of her face was covered in burn scars from a recent mission. "At this rate, there won't be much of humanity left to save." "Dr. Freeman is working on something bigger," Sam said. "A way to hit them all at once." 7 days left. Lisa hadn't slept in 3 days. Dr. Cruz worried about her, bringing her food she didn't eat and suggesting rest she wouldn't take. "I'm close," she told the old physicist. "If we can link all the amplifiers together and channel them through one central node, we could create a wave large enough to affect the entire Vox fleet." "No single human mind could handle that kind of neural load," Cruz warned. "Not a single mind? No. But what if we used multiple minds together?" "A collective consciousness?" Cruz's eyes widened. "A gestalt. Yes, that might work. But it would require perfect emotional synchronization among the participants. The volunteers have been practicing. Their sync rate is up to 87%. It needs to be higher," Cruz said. "At least 95% for a stable gestalt field." Lisa nodded tiredly. "I know, but we're running out of time. 5 days left." Sam led a desperate mission to infiltrate the Vox mothership. Intelligence suggested it contained the trigger mechanism for Earth's destruction. If they could disable it, they might buy more time. His team included 10 soldiers, each wearing the latest version of the neural amplifier. Their target was a massive ship hovering over what used to be Chicago. "Remember, stay emotionally focused," Sam told them as their stealth craft approached the mothership. Fear will feed them. Use your anger, your determination, your hope. They boarded the ship through a maintenance hatch, moving silently through corridors that pulsed with blue light. The layout matched the schematics they had extracted from captured Vox technology. Central chamber ahead, Kelly whispered. That should be where the trigger is located. Sam nodded. Stay sharp. They rounded a corner and froze. Dozens of Vox stood in the corridor as if waiting for them. It's a trap, Kelly hissed. The Vox advanced, their movements eerily synchronized. Behind them more appeared, cutting off the escape route. Amplifiers at full power, Sam ordered. Focus on protective determination. The team activated their devices. The air shimmered as their emotions broadcast outward. The nearest Vox stumbled, blue fluid leaking from their eyes, but there were too many. For every one that fell, 3 more took its place. We're not going to make it, Kelly said as they backed into a corner, surrounded. Sam looked at his team, at the friends he'd fought beside for months. They were Earth's last hope, and they were about to die. New plan, he said. Link your amplifiers. To mine. All of you. That much neural load could kill you, Kelly protested. Better than letting them kill Earth. Sam's voice was calm. Do it. One by one, the team linked their amplifiers to Sam's. He felt each connection like a jolt of electricity in his brain. 10 minds connected to his, their emotions flowing into him. Now, he told them, don't fight. Don't focus on determination or hope. Focus on your darkest fears, the things that keep you up at night, the nightmares you never speak of. But that will feed them, one soldier objected. Trust me, Sam said. As the Vox closed in, the team changed their emotional focus. Fear flooded their linked minds. Not simple fear, but the complex, uniquely human terrors. Fear of failing those who depend on you. Fear of dying without purpose. Fear of losing everything you love while being forced to watch. Sam channeled it all, adding his own deepest fears. The neural load was unbearable. Blood trickled from his nose, but he didn't stop. More, he gasped. Give me everything. The combined emotional wave hit the Vox like a physical force. They screamed, a sound no human had heard before, but something else was happening too. The air around the team began to darken. Shapes formed in the shadows, twisted, many-eyed things that shifted and changed as they watched. They weren't solid, but they weren't entirely insubstantial either. Dear Key. Vox's screams turned to panic. They tried to flee, but the shadow things reached for them with limbs that shouldn't exist. Through the pain in his head, Sam realized what was happening. Their fear, amplified and broadcast through Vox technology, was creating something new, something that fed on fear just as the Vox did, but it found the Vox's fear much more satisfying than human fear. The Vox commander barked orders in their strange language. Emergency lights flashed throughout the ship. They're evacuating, Kelly said in awe. We did it. Sam couldn't respond. The neural load was too much. As darkness claimed him, his last thought was of Lisa. He hoped she'd understand what they'd accidentally created. The shadow things moved through the ship, growing stronger with each terrified Vox they encountered. Earth had just found its weapon. But Sam wondered, as consciousness slipped away, if they'd unleashed something worse than the Vox could ever be. Sam woke up in the medical bay of the Denver facility. His head felt like it had been split open and poorly put back together. When he tried to sit up, a gentle hand pushed him back down. Easy, Lisa said. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Sam blinked, trying to clear his vision. The mission, the team, everyone made it back. Kelly carried you herself. Lisa's face was a mix of relief and something else. Worry, maybe fear. Sam, what happened up there? Before he could answer, the door opened and Dr. Cruz hobbled in, looking more excited than Sam had ever seen him. He's awake. Good. We have much to discuss. The old physicist was practically bouncing with energy. Major Harper, you've changed everything. Sam winced as he finally managed to sit up. The shadow things, they were real, weren't they? Not just, in my head? Cruz nodded eagerly. Very real and very effective. The Vox fleet began retreating within hours of your mission. They're abandoning Earth. All because of those things we created. Lisa and Cruz exchanged glances. We've been calling them the manifests, Lisa said carefully, because they seem to be manifestations of human consciousness, specifically our collective nightmares. Are they dangerous? Sam asked. To the Vox, extremely. Cruz pulled up a chair. To us? Unclear. They don't seem interested in humans. They follow the Vox ships. Sam remembered the shapes he'd seen on the mothership. Twisted, ever-changing things that seemed made of darkness itself. What exactly are they? Cruz leaned forward, eyes bright. My theory? They're quantum manifestations of human fear, given form through the amplifiers and Vox technology. Essentially, we've weaponized our nightmares. That's not reassuring. It shouldn't be, Lisa said quietly. We don't understand them, and we can't control them. But they're saving Earth, so there's that. Over the next week, Sam watched from Denver as the Vox fled Earth. Their massive ships vanished into space, leaving behind only wreckage and the strange blue plants, which were already beginning to wither without the Vox to maintain them. But not all the Vox escaped. Some were cut off from their fleet stranded on Earth, and wherever they gathered, the shadow things, the manifests, appeared to hunt them. From observation posts, humans watched the manifests move through abandoned cities. They seemed to shift between forms, taking shapes from humanity's oldest fears. Many-eyed predators, faceless judges, shapes that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space. It's like they're picking through our collective subconscious, Lisa said as they watched footage from Chicago, taking the forms that frighten us most. Why would they do that? Sam asked. Maybe they're trying to understand us. Or maybe those shapes are just what works best to terrify the Vox. Reports came in from around the world. The manifests were everywhere the Vox had been, hunting them relentlessly. Within a month, there were no more Vox on Earth, but the manifest remained. 6 months after the Vox retreat, humanity began rebuilding. Cities were reclaimed. Technology salvaged from Vox ships accelerated human advancement by decades. The trauma remained, but so did hope. Sam stood on the roof of the Denver facility, watching the sunset. Earth was healing, faster than anyone had expected. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had changed. Something beyond the physical destruction. Beautiful, isn't it? Lisa joined him at the railing. Hard to believe we almost lost it all. Sam nodded. Any news about the manifests? Most have followed the Vox fleet. Our deep space monitors tracked them as far as Jupiter before losing them. She hesitated. But not all of them left? What do you mean? Lisa handed him a tablet showing security footage from around the world. In each clip, a shadow moved just at the edge of visibility. Near a school in London. In a hospital in Sydney. Outside an apartment in Rio. They're watching us, Sam realized. Yes, but only certain people. Lisa took back the tablet. People who were connected to the amplifiers during the battle. You, Kelly, the other volunteers, and now their families too. Sam felt a chill, despite the warm evening. Why? Dr. Cruz has a theory. He thinks the manifests were created from your fears, your emotions. They're connected to you. Are they dangerous? There's been no aggression toward humans. They just watch. Like guardians, maybe. Sam remembered the feeling when the amplifiers had all linked together, the rush of emotions, the sense of creating something beyond human understanding. We need to find a way to communicate with them, he said finally, to understand what they want. Already working on it. Lisa smiled. We've modified the amplifiers. If you're willing to try again. Before Sam could answer, an alarm sounded. They rushed back inside to the command center. We're receiving a transmission, the communications officer reported. Not from Earth. The Vox? Sam asked, tensing. No, sir. Different signature entirely. It's coming from a ship approaching our solar system. The screen flickered to life, showing a being unlike anything they'd seen before. It wasn't Vox. Its body was crystalline, with light pulsing through it in complex patterns. People of Earth, it said, its voice somehow translating directly in their minds. We seek contact with the humans who defeated the Vox. The command center fell silent. This is Major Sam Harper, Sam said after a moment. Who are you? We are the Lumina. Like you, our world was harvested by the Vox. Unlike you, we could not stop them. The crystalline beings seemed to shimmer with emotion. They brought hell to our worlds, but you brought something worse, something that might save us all. The manifests, Lisa whispered. Yes. The shadow entities that hunt the Vox now hunt them across the galaxy. For the first time in millennia, the Vox flee rather than feed. The Lumina leaned closer to whatever was transmitting its image. We have come to learn how you created these entities, and to warn you. Warn us of what? Sam asked. The manifests are spreading, changing, growing stronger as they consume Vox fear. And they remember who created them. The Lumina's lights pulsed faster. Some believe they will return to you when they're finished with the Vox. Sam exchanged glances with Lisa. Return how? As friends or enemies? That, said the Lumina, depends on you. They are born of your darkest fears, but shaped by your intentions. What did you intend when you created them, Major Harper? Sam thought back to that moment on the Vox ship, when he'd linked the amplifiers and channeled the team's fears. He'd been desperate, facing death. He'd wanted to protect Earth, to save his people. But beneath that, I wanted justice, he said finally. I wanted the Vox to feel the fear they'd been feeding on. The Lumina was silent for a moment. Then that is what the manifests will deliver. Justice. Fear for those who feed on fear. Protection for those who created them. Its crystalline body flashed with colors. We have much to discuss, people of Earth. May we approach? Sam looked around the command center, at the faces of people who had survived hell itself. Then he nodded. Come in peace and you'll find it here. As the transmission ended, Sam turned to Lisa. Looks like we have a new first contact to prepare for. And new allies, she added. Outside, as night fell over Denver, a shadow moved across the wall of the facility. It paused near a window, its many eyes gazing in at the humans inside. Then it continued on its patrol, a guardian born of humanity's fears, but shaped by their hope. The Vox had brought hell to Earth. Humans had brought something worse. And somehow in the darkness between stars that had become humanity's greatest strength.